Here we are back at it again. Wanted to say thank you again very much. According to FeedSpot, this podcast has ranked in the top 100 motivational podcasts for men. We're ranking number 5 still. We're topping the charts. I think it's crazy. This idea that I had a while ago about talking about adversity to success and this little blueprint that I created has helping a lot of people, and I appreciate your feedback. So today's podcast, we're going to be talking about today's title's episode 557, Cash Flow, the blueprint for breaking limits and becoming a dominant force in life. So there's a lot going on right now. We're wrapping up the series about cash flow. And what that comes down to is how knowledge, attitude, skills, and habits fuel your success, purpose, and legacy. And it's meant a lot to me what I learned a long time ago in sales training when I was learning it. And then I began to train it. And one of the books that I read a few years ago, a great book that I'll reference in the podcast after the intro, it's when you want to learn something, when you want to master it, the best way to master it is definitely to start teaching it. And Brendon Burchard, he definitely brings that home in his book, High Performance Habits, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But I started to teach the cash flow system from a sales point of view. And when I went through major adversity, it's one of those things that I remember pulling out of my toolbox saying, if I applied knowledge, attitude, skills, and habits in this really dark place in my life, what would that do from a personal development point of view? What would that do in these areas that I really need? I understand it from a sales and management training point of view, but how can I incorporate this into my confidence, into my emotional well-being? And when I started to apply it, it had massive impact. And when I started to instill it in other people, it took off right away. So in this episode, we're going to be wrapping the whole part of this blueprint, the segment of the blueprint, incorporating the whole blueprint. And you'll see what I mean when we get into it in this podcast. We'll see how long this one goes. I'll try to keep it under 30 minutes, but I hope you enjoy this show, this part of the podcast. And it's my pleasure to bring it to you. I'll see you on the inside.
Welcome.
Attention, please.
Welcome aboard. Welcome to the No Comfort Zone podcast. It's time to get out of your comfort zone and live on purpose. Broadcasting to the world from Rockford, Illinois. This is your wake-up call.
Warning.
You are the solutions to all your problems. Stop thinking average. Become the hero version of yourself. Every day, every time, without fail, no exceptions. It all matters. You've entered the No Comfort Zone. It's time for a reality check.
If you haven't figured it out yet, I absolutely love to read a lot of books. And the time that I've been on the path for self-development and personal growth, the things that motivate me are books. And I've read a lot of books. And I would say about 5 years ago, I picked up a book, High Performance Habits by Brendon Burchard. I think I'm saying it right. New York Times bestseller. His quote is, "The world's most successful people aren't lucky, they're consistent." Pick up the book. It's just an absolutely great book. His demeanor, and if you pick up the audiobook, I have both the paperback and the audiobook. The way he reads it on the audiobook, he narrates it himself. It's great. I love his tone. I love his tempo. It's just a really, really good book. He's got a great story behind it too. And basically, when you look at people that a high level of performance, it ties in directly to a very deliberate, very purposeful about my cash analysis, the knowledge, attitude, skills, and habits, and the routines that you need to become successful. So it kind of correlates. So if you're liking the podcast, I think you're really going to enjoy his book. So it's just a way to complement each other, and check that out. Another thing I want to reference too is it's an old, steadfast book. It's been around forever, but if you haven't picked it up yet, I want you to check this one out too. It's something that can definitely help you. It's a staple you should have in your library. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. That's also on the New York Times bestseller list. Sow a thought, reap an action. Sow an action, reap a habit. Sow a habit, reap a character. Sow a character, reap a destiny. That's a lot to unwrap there. But this timeless structure aligns perfectly with your holistic way to achieve what you want out of life, but it ties in perfectly with the cash system. And it shows that through this daily habitual way of working with knowledge, attitude, skills, and habits, how these 7 effective, highly effective habits for people can tie in very well together. So it's another complement to what I'm trying to accomplish. So, if this resonates with you too, another good reference for you to check things out. And I'm promoting these because I believe as they've helped me, they'll help you. In my personal growth journey over 30 some years, you could pretty much say everywhere I go, I have a book that I'm reading about the topic. And it's unfortunate because I read the book, I felt good, but applying the principles, that was another story until everything came crashing down and I was scrambling. What am I going to do? All the while I had the information. I learned things the hard way. So what I want to talk about in today's podcast to you comes down to this. I'm going to pretty much go right into what we're talking about when we talk about success and motivation from the no comfort zone, the complete title of the podcast. And today is a game changer because when you think about where we've been from the mindset to setting goals and talking about this part of the cash system, this part of the blueprint, this is the one that kind of ties it all together because the cash acronym, it's not just a catchy little acronym. It truly is a success formula. And when people kind of ignore like the hard work that goes into it, this isn't just chasing a hack or looking for a shortcut. This is the real work that leads to a legacy that you're trying to create, whether you even know it or not. So think of it like this. This cash thing that I learned, that I've incorporated into my sales and management training, that I applied into my personal life when everything was going to shit and I need to rebuild myself. Think of it like this. It's like an engine. The knowledge fuels your mind. The attitude that you have directs your focus. The skills sharpen your edge, and you got to have an edge. I'm telling you right now, if you could have all the knowledge in the world and you can have a great attitude, but if you don't have that edge, that what you need, you're not going to have that desire. You need that edge to really say that ambition that I want to compete. I want to do better. I want to be above average. And the habits are just going to keep you consistent. Keep in mind, it's not about knowing more. It's about applying what you do know at the appropriate time. And it's not about being perfect, but it is about being prepared daily. And I can't stress this enough. In your life, you're going to have to show up earlier than everybody else just to be prepared. Otherwise, and this might be true for you now, you're going to be reacting to everything else. And you just can't react. You have to be prepared. There has to be a strategy to what you're doing. You're going to have to be prepared throughout your day. So show up early, get prepared. Ask the questions so you can control what's going on in your environment versus having everybody come to you so you have to answer their questions because you're going to be off balance. There's such an important part about being prepared. And when I talk about preparedness, having your goals written down, by the intentions written down the night before, having your goals, having that ideal day written out, having the intention so you can have some purpose, so you can have an idea what your outcomes are going to be, and realizing that you don't have to jump to everybody's tune. This is your life. This is not a dress rehearsal. You have to understand that edge that is so important to you. It's what's truly going to keep the difference between surviving and thriving. It might even be between life and death. So I'm telling you the importance of getting prepared. We talk about in the last part of the blueprint, which we're going to get to, we got about a couple more steps, and we'll talk about that down the road. But I'm going to bring it up now and show you how this applies. If you had 4 pieces, let's say you got a sheet of paper, and on 4 corners of the sheets of paper, you wrote K, you wrote A, So you have a K on one side, top left, you have A top right, you have S bottom right, and you have H bottom left, K, A, S, H that cover all four corners. I want you to look at this as success failure cycle. And I got this from Tony Robbins a long time ago. It's called, if I remember it correctly, the success and failure cycle. Now, if you have knowledge on something that you're working on, whatever that may be, I say time management, you could say personal finance, you could say relationship, whatever it might be, we're going to use that topic and you can write that topic right in the middle, whatever that goal is that you have that you're working on. Now, this is a personal story for me. Success cycle. I'm working on my knowledge. I'm working on the knowledge in that area. Time management. Time management means I write my intentions down the night before, and I've gotten my 15 minutes figured out what I'm going to do. I spend those 15 minutes to say 4 hours the next day. I have my intentions. I wake up in the morning early. I look over my intentions again. I write my goals, to-do list, my outcome list, whatever it is I'm going to do. I have that down and I stay strict to my schedule. Time management, right? I've got my knowledge of what I need to do. My attitude. I'm going to stay focused with a winning attitude on what my time management is. I'm going to control what I can. I'm not going to worry about things that I can't control. I'm going to stay focused. Skills. I'm going to go through the habit of working on my time management at night, working on it in the morning, and I'm going to stay true to that the best I can. Habits, I'm going to do it daily. I'm going to check in. Am I winning? Am I succeeding? I sure am. So keep in mind, when you tie these all together, see how synergistic and how powerful that can be? See, when you develop these, I'm going to read this off of my notes here, and I don't want to get distracted on this. So I apologize for the break on this because most of the time I'm free flowing, but here's what I want to share with you. Here's how the multiplication has and how the synergy works. So you can have knowledge, but without the right attitude, it's wasted. You can have skills, but if you don't have habits, you'll lose consistency. You can have habits, but if they're built without purpose, you'll lead to burnout and mediocrity. I wanted to make sure you got that because you could do one thing great, but if you don't have the others, you're going to lose it. And you got to have that edge. I hope this resonates with you because it's so crucial if you get this part of it, because now you're going to start to develop momentum. And now when you do this cash part right, you're going to have a better mindset, which is AIDA. And when you have that AIDA better, you can set better goals. And when you have better goals and you start to get better outcomes and you have better purpose, you're going to draw in better people that are going to give you better opportunities. Now you're going from, you're going to get to average, you're going to be above average. Then when those better opportunity comes, you're going to have better opportunities, better outcomes. And when you have better outcomes, now you're cooking with gas. Now you have better character, better integrity. And as we talked about it before, success is going to be drawn to you at a much higher level. I know because I've experienced this time and time again. I've also experienced it when I was inferior. My character and integrity weren't in check. Opportunities did present themselves, but they bypassed me because I wasn't ready for it. And I know now I can look back in the past and realize massive opportunities walked right past me because I didn't have the right character, the right integrity, call it what you will. I wasn't ready for it yet. But now when those opportunities come, they're not going to pass me by because I'm in the right place at the right time, because I'm in the right person, because I have a blueprint. I hope that makes sense to you. And I get really passionate about this because I know if you've had the adversity and you understand who you are, you have to understand that if you've learned from that, the next thing is going to happen, success. But you have to identify what's going on in your life. It's the only thing that can be true for you, success. I hope that makes sense. So here's some examples I want to share with you, and I wrote these down. So a salesperson, for example, in my world, with no knowledge but a great attitude, they're going to lose deals. You can have the greatest attitude in the world. You might make a couple deals, but if you don't have the knowledge and know-how to put them together, you're going to lose deals. I've seen people walk right past deals. Great attitude, that's great. But without the skill sets you need for process, for timing, for the coordination of a deal, to maintain control in a deal, it's going to walk right past you, even though you have a great idea or a great attitude and a great want and a great desire, but you have to have it all together. A leader with skill but no humility, basically attitude, you're going to lose your team. you have to have it all. And if you don't have that attitude, you can lose control. And I've been there. I've had that happen to me. All the desire and want and the intention. But when I made it all about me, no one cares. But when you make it about them and they can see the vision and you could support them, you're going to get everything that you want. A person with good habits but no vision, that's where the knowledge comes in, stays really busy but never becomes great. I fall into this trap all the time. I have my desires, I stay very busy, but there's impactful and there's just being busy. Let's work on being impactful. And we talk about the high performance habits of 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Check this out. Here's a great quote. Success doesn't come from what you occasionally do. It comes from what you do repeatedly, practice under pressure. Covey said, private victories precede public victories. I got to tell you, that's the KASH acronym in action. And it starts internally. Pay attention to this, okay? Every adversity that you face has given you knowledge. It's revealed your attitude, it's tested your skills, and it's broken or built your habits. Here's the big secret. Don't waste your pain. Convert it into your power. That's what I'm doing on this podcast. My superpower is my adversity. God gave me all of that adversity. It's self-inflicted. One of the titles of the book I was going to write was my dealing with my suicide attempt, self-inflicted. How not dealing with problems was self-inflicted. I got to that point. Don't waste the pain. It wasn't given to you just to waste. Share it with other people so they don't have to go through it. So by sharing my stories with you, sharing other people's stories, talking about these books with you, is you listening one step closer towards listen. I'm inspired by what Dan's talking about, and I'm motivated to do something here. I don't know what I'm going to do next. You get that blueprint in front of you and you realize, if I knew I couldn't fail, what would I do? Get your awareness right, identify where you're at, how you got there, decide what you want out of this life, and then work your ass off. Massive action. Know what your goals are, know what your purpose is in this life, and then again, what's important right now for you to do right now. Work on your knowledge, attitude, skills, and habits. Get your energy, excitement, enthusiasm, engagement in check. Work on your confidence, work on your conviction, get some certainty in your life, and then work on the success and failure cycle. Know when you're failing, know when you're successful, apply more, risk more, get some more opportunities, build your character, work on your integrity, and that's it. And then as soon as you find some success, help somebody else get up, because that's what it's all about, folks. Think about it, right? So I'm going to ask you to do this. I want you to reflect on your life, on what adversity has already taught you. It's taught you something. And likely it's already given you more than you're talking about, than you're sharing right now. What adversity has it taught you? Don't be quiet about it. Journal it. Write it down. Matt McConaughey is a big journal. He's got a journal that he's selling right now. Go get it. Write down what adversity has given you in your life and how could it impact your family? How could it impact your business, your coworkers? Know what it's done. You don't have to talk about it, bring it to the mountains. You don't have to do a podcast. But I'm telling you, if you've got a story or something you want to share and it could impact millions, this podcast is a great platform. Share your story with me. Let's talk about it. Let's have that conversation about how you screwed up, how you learned from it, how you helped somebody else, how it impacted somebody else. Because somebody else out there right now is waiting for that to happen so it can help them, so they can say, man, I can relate with what Dan's saying. I can relate with this other person saying. It connects with them and they say, you know what? This is normal. This is what life's all about. Listen, you weren't born just to survive. You were born to dominate. I want you to know that with your business, with your family, it's your mission. Everyone rises up to the challenge when given a challenge. Get your comfort zone out of the way. Get out of that comfort zone. Break from the chains of comfort. Get out of there. Listen, your cash flow becomes your identity flow. You're built for something greater than what you're doing right now. If you're comfortable, get uncomfortable. Stop chasing ease. Start chasing excellence. Here's your challenge. Look at your current flow. Is your knowledge sharp? Is your attitude aligned? Are your skills leveling up? Are your habits moving you forward or holding you back? You got to ask yourself those questions. And here's an opportunity. I want you to be part of the next evolution of this podcast. If you've overcome adversity, and if you've risen from rock bottom to rebuild your life through your mindset, I want to hear about it. I want to hear your story. DM me, email me. Today's the day for you to get out of your comfort zone and live on purpose.
Say goodbye.
Want more of the No Comfort Zone? You can follow Dan on Instagram and Twitter at NoComfortZone1.
Bye.
Or on the web at thenocomfortzone.com.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the No Comfort Zone podcast.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.